cat. You're listening to the DPW Podcast. Yeah, woo!
What?
I'm your host, Caleb James. Oh, fuck. Didn't even consider a name for you.
One mini episode missed, and you're...
No, we're not missing it. What's a name from one of these fucking stories here?
I missed one mini episode,
right.
You're all out of whack.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot you weren't here. I was on my own. So sad. That was boring, like, having to do that by myself. I'm just waiting for you to say something stupid for me to...
to rip off of?
Yeah, and I'm just sitting there looking. Nitro was not helpful. Like, he did not get on the mic. I tried.
The only time he was probably quiet.
Yeah. It's like, come on, yeah. There's gotta be a fucking city name in this story.
Which,
any of them.
Well, the problem is, you're gonna have a hard time pronouncing any of them.
True. You know what? Because we're almost done, I started reading a couple things in the back.
Okay.
You might actually want to check those out. Not necessarily like the first drafts or any of that stuff, but it's got like
unfinished
a whole
stories and shit like that?
Well, yeah, it's got that, but it's got a whole thing about the age they're in.
Okay.
The Hyperbian age or whatever he calls it. And that seems interesting. And I was reading about the cities and the countries. So, like, you get to read about Cimmerian a little bit.
Okay.
That's only like 2 pages, but I think... And there's a map. If you look at the maps, it has a list of all the places on it. You know what? You're the... with me today. I gotta do it the proper way. With me today is the guy formerly known as Spencer the Gunderman Gooch Church. I think Gunderman was one of the places. If not, you're a Gunderman and a Gooch.
Yeah, what?
Which is somehow gross, even though it should be the best part of a man. Because, like, what's above it's gross, what's below it's real gross. So you think it would just be like a harmless, but it gets sticky.
Well, it's in a gross sandwich.
It is in a gross sandwich, especially when you get older and your area starts drooping down and getting extra saggy.
Things go into places.
Yeah, you got the beans start spilling over into the
things that touching things that they never touched before.
Oh, shit. Ooh, that's gross. All right. Anyway, we need some Conan talk. You got another podcast to go to. Mr. Popular. We read 3 stories for this fancy edition. We read Xuthal of the Dusk, The Pool of the Black One, which and Rogues in the House.
Rogues in the House. That sounds like, some kind of newer rap song.
2 out of these 3 stories were racist. Because Xuthal in the House is a slight on Asian folk. Because everyone was yellow with either slanted or moon-shaped eyes. And then the Pool of the Black Ones, I mean, you can guess.
Well, I mean, even the third one, the main bad thing is like this is...
But it is like, we'll get to it. Let's break it down. Break it down, motherfucker. Getting into some Conan. All right. So the first story we read this week was Xuthal of the Dusk. Xuthal, this was a novelette. Did not know that.
I say it seemed a little bit longer.
Yeah, written in 1933. The plot summary, Conan and his companion, Natalia, I don't think that's how you say her name, but it is how I'm going to say it. Conan and his companion, Natalia, discover the nearly abandoned city, Xuthal, in the desert, occupied only by a Stygian witch and a shadowy demon. Before we go into the detailed synopsis, I would just like to say we are on full bimbo mode in the Conan saga now.
Oh, yeah.
Every chick now is just a dumb bimbo.
Uh-huh.
Useless. Like this chick, useless 100%. I think the one in the next story...
She was worse than the other island story where she draped off him so much that she might have been clothes.
Yeah. Yeah, she literally hung on him the whole time. And his muscly sinews.
Broad shoulders.
All right, and also...
thick neck.
I'm going to dig up Robert E. Howard and punch him in the skull. Because he uses the fucking word lithe way too much now. Or lethe, or however you say it. L-I-T-H-E. Describing women or whatever. They use it like once a page now, it seems like. I've noticed in these stories. That's his go-to. And then I'm sick of the fucking Blue eyes, man. And I don't know if you've noticed, but Conan has gone from tan skin to olive skin to now brown skin.
Yeah.
So Conan is darkening up. Of course, he was in the desert for a period here. He's also been inflicted with disgusting injuries that you feel like would leave more scars in the future Conan stories that they don't talk about.
No, but that's the tricky thing of figuring out when these stories take place within each other.
Right. Yeah, that's it's hard to break some of them down. And this time, what did we have? We had Pirate Conan again? Wait, what was the...
First one was Desert.
First one was Refugee Conan.
Yeah.
Which was cool. Second one was the island one, so that's Pirate Conan.
Yes.
And the third one was Rogue Conan.
He like thiefish, like...
he was a prisoner, so Prisoner Conan.
Yeah.
Or maybe more applicable would be...
Outlaw?
Outlaw Conan. There you go. Like the way you think, boy. See, I can't do that on my own. When I'm sitting there stuttering by myself, I'm just like, he was, I don't have any way to just say a word. So I'm just like, he was a guy in a loincloth.
Or a rogue. He was Rogue Conan.
Well, of course, they're rogues. They're rogues in the house. Also, I'll get to that too. Which might be why this story isn't as racist as you think. The third story, not the one we're talking about. This one was hella racist. Detailed synopsis of Xuthal of the Dusk. I'm going to butcher every name in here, bear with me. The names have been getting weirder, too. Like, now we went from, like, a lot of Greek-sounding names to just fuck all. Just throw letters at, like, Middle Eastern-sounding names and stuff.
I would have to think, like, what his editors back then were just like, what? Dude, what the fuck is this?
I don't like it, sir.
Especially, like, back then, because it's not like, now, like, oh, that's a Greek, like, you can type it in, oh, this is, like, a Greek or Arabic, like, descent, like, how are they gonna,
Yeah.
You're just making shit up.
Yeah, because, H.P. Lovecraft, for the most part, other than, like, the cult, not even so much the cult people, just, like, the old ones had weird, obvious, like, weird names like Cthulhu and stuff, but everyone in the stories had normal names for the most part. Most of them were, like, New England-type people anyway. And same with Edgar Allan Poe. Like, he would have some French or German names, but he also had normal names. But these are, I mean, I get it's fantasy, but he got some weird names, man.
Can I get a gym somewhere?
God damn microphone stand. I'm going to burn the podcast studio to the ground and get the insurance money. Except for I don't have insurance because I rent. I had renter's insurance. It was like $15 a month. And then it lapsed and I just never got it again because what am I paying for? Like, who's to say what I had? Like, I would be like, yeah, I had a $3,000 podcast studio set up and it burnt. Did you really, sir? Sure did.
Absolutely.
Didn't have two shitty mics and a mixer. Mixer's the only thing valuable. Back to Xuthal of the Dusk. The last survivors of Prince Almeric's army, Conan and his latest female companion, Natalia, struggle through the desert. Just as their water runs out, they see a city in the distance. That was convenient.
Yeah.
About to die, city in the middle of the desert. Lucky duckies. At first it seems the whole city is devoid of life, finding only an apparently dead, woundless body on the steps. And these guys are just drug addicts, by the way, which I liked. We'll get to that in a second, but I just like how you're supposed to be guarding the city and you're just in a drugged up stupor. However, a short while later, while Conan ponders how to get water from a nearby well, it was a very deep well, no bucket, why have it, I don't know, the corpse, quotation marks, the corpse, leaps up and chases them to be promptly decapitated by Conan. He does a lot of murdering in these stories now. Now he's just straight up just killing everybody.
Just straight up,
I mean, you could just say murdering Conan's the main Conan.
What's the, we've talked about it before, but just, what's the word that he always uses when he bludgeons somebody in the head? It's not bludgeon, but it's like,
Cleaved?
Yes!
Does a lot of cleaving.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of bludgeoning. I don't think he used the word bludgeon at all. That seems like a good word he should use. A lot of skull cracking. Alright, searching for food and water, Conan and Natalia find multiple signs of recent life. Eventually come across a table richly laid out with food, which they hesitantly eat.
Not Conan. Conan went full hog in that thing.
He always goes full hog. He's like a fucking Super Saiyan when it comes to that. Like, he just blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I thought that, I mean, I get it. They're fucking starving to death almost and, dehydrated, so they're going to eat it. But at least I like that they were like, well, I don't know. This is a little weird. This is some, not three little pigs, three bears Goldilocks,
Oh, yeah.
some of that shit. Like, oh, this food's just set out. I should probably just eat it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be a bad move. But they ate it and they were fine. And the reason for this is really stupid. Let's see. Soon they come. As they watch, the man seems to be consumed by a black shadow. Nope.
No,
Too far. Soon they come across another apparently dead man lying on a dais. They all have like these thrones they just sleep in. As they watch, the man seems to be consumed by a black shadow, terrifying Natalia because she's fucking useless and just... Why didn't he just let her get eaten or die later on when she gets like kidnapped? He just do it. Most of Conan's problems are by the ladies.
But
some of them.
You need companionship.
I guess he's a barbarian. He always calls them wenches.
Well,
A lot of sexism here.
When I say companionship, I don't. I think you know what I mean.
Some bludgeoning to the nether regions. Later, they come across a third man, but this time he is awake and asks them where they are from. He thinks Conan is but a dream and is shocked to find that he is all too real. Conan tells him of the strange shadow, whereupon the other man runs away screaming, only to be consumed himself. That was also stupid, but again, this guy was all kind of drugged up. Everyone's drugged. They're just on drugs, is what happens in this fucking big kingdom. So I don't know how anything gets accomplished.
Well, nothing.
Well, they have like amazing science that allows them to have like elixirs of life and food and all this shit, but they're also just always drugged up and passed out somewhere. Very poor way to... Well, their society's actually down to only a couple hundred people, right? From thousands because, again, drugs. Drugs are bad. Okay.
More of being eaten by the monster.
Well, the monster does not help. There's a demon monster running loose. Let's see if we'll get to that. As Conan and Natalia consider escaping the city, as you would, they encounter Thalys, the Stygian. She describes how the city of Xuthal was the last remnant of a once great civilization. They used to be incredible scientists, creating the light-producing radium and food manufactured out of the primal elements. But now spend most of their time in a drug-induced haze. I guess when you get bored of creating shit, you just drug up, get turned. Thalys also mentions a marvelous healing wine which can restore vitality, cure wounds, and prolong life. They should have bottled a shitload of that up before they left.
Take any of that.
I don't know. She tells Conan how the people of Xuthal live only for pleasure, their lust the only reason they rescued her from starvation. Thalys then urges Conan to stay with her and become king, as she has become infatuated with the barbarian, as you would.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Because everyone else is just on drugs and probably limp-dicked, and here's Conan all vitalitized. See,
I didn't see it so much as them on drugs. I thought, like, didn't the creature, like, have some kind of hold on them? Like,
no. They all took, hold on. Conan declines her offer, whereupon Thalys kidnaps her rival for affections and whatever. No, what it was they had... Because he described it. I forget if it was like one of them lotus things, like gray lotus or something or other. But they have some kind of drug, and whenever they take it, they just go into like this crazy dream world they live in. And so they're always just passed out on this drug. And then every once in a while, they'll awake and try to do some random shit. Like that's why that meal was there. Somebody woke up, made this big feast, and then were just like, you know what? I'm not on enough drugs, and then just went back into drug and stupor.
They must have misread that because
the shadow monster, he just randomly goes around and eats them, but for the most part, they're just.
I thought he had something to do with them in their sleep state. I thought he
No, I don't think so. I think they just probably because there's a giant monster going around eating them, and they just because it says. That lady, she didn't know if they built the town around the monster or if the monster just like came up when they built the town. Like nobody really knows. Thalys drags Natalia along a dark corridor where Natalia tries to stab her attacker, so she almost was useful, but then she just dropped the dagger like a bitch. She doesn't manage to kill her, but does at least escape her grasp, if only briefly. Or did she cut her in the side? Yeah, she did. Yeah. She stuck her, but it didn't. It was weak.
Flesh wound.
Yeah. Thalys finds a light and recaptures the Brythunian, binding and sadistically whipping her. And this girl was like a slave girl or something too, wasn't she? Because she used to always get whipped. And then I want to say she was also like a princess who got kidnapped or something. And then she hooked up with Conan somehow. I forget. Wasn't important. However, Thalys is then consumed by the shadowy demon, which wasn't as cool as you think it would be. Like I wanted some grossness to that, but there was none.
There's like a weird frog-looking guy.
Yeah. Well, he was weird looking, but I mean, like when she got eaten, like she's such a bitch. I really wanted to get her comeuppance and didn't get anything. The creature then turns its attention on the helpless Natalia, apparently seeking to rape her. I did not get that. I did not get the demon rape part. I must have overread or something. I must have skipped that one. Yeah, I didn't. I mean, she was like tied up, but makes sense now. When it comes to like the...
Well, she was nude too, right? When she was getting whipped?
Yeah, they're always nude. They're all fucking naked. Yeah, and she was another fair, scared lass baking in the desert.
And like, no problem just, walking around.
Yeah.
With your bits hanging out.
Again, in the desert areas, like that sand. Sand gets everywhere, man. No. Anyway, while she was getting ready, while she was getting ready for the diddling, Conan finds himself beset upon the large numbers of male citizens, all of whom he dispatches systematically. Yeah, everybody just woke up at once and tried to attack Conan, and because they're all drugged up still, he just fucking murders everybody.
I think that's why I thought like the creature had something to do, because I thought like the creature was kind of like sending them to him.
No, they just I don't remember why they all just woke up, but they did. Plot device. These warriors are no match for Conan despite their numbers, but are at least brave, throwing themselves into battle despite their near-invincible opponent. He races through the corridors, but stops in surprise when he spies a yellow-skinned woman who quickly triggers a pit trap that Conan falls through, landing in front of Thog, that's the demon, just in time to halt the demon's disturbing advances towards Natalia. Thog proves a problematic enemy, but Conan does at least manage to knock the monster into a chasm. I thought it was a well. I thought he said it was like more like a well. Maybe it was a chasm. Two things it's not saying. One, he battled in like total darkness, so he could barely see this thing. Like for the most part, this was all in the dark.
Yeah, he was just basically swinging.
Yeah, and the other thing, which they always managed to leave out, when I said this was racist, like throughout the thing, the people of this town, other than the bitch lady from, what is she, Stygian or something, they're all yellow-skinned or very yellow-skinned. All have slanted eyes or moon-shaped eyes. But he did say they were taller, but he pretty much alludes that they're Asian folk. I would actually say, now that I think about it, maybe while he was writing this, he was, and I might be at, 2020 lens, I might be just throwing shit that's not there into this, but I kind of feel like maybe this had something to do with, like, opium. Like, not in the story, like, opium, but it's supposed to represent opium.
I can see that, yeah.
Because, like, China and stuff with the opium crisis they had way back when. So I could imagine, like, he got the idea of Asians on opium always passed out from, like, the opium dens that used to be around back then. That. Yeah, like, that'd be... That's just where maybe it'll say in the back of the book where he got his ideas.
You know what they also forget to mention is just, like, how the bad lady... just happened to be like, like a day's walk south from here.
Oh yeah, like she told him where,
she
told him there's another city just south of there, like a day's walk that they can go to, and they'll be all right. And the ending of this particular story: mortally wounded from the battle with Thog. This is the closest Conan ever comes to death, mind you. Conan is miraculously revived by Natalia. She has that the golden wine. She feeds him a glass of the golden wine Thalos mentioned earlier, which cures all the barbarian's wounds. Must be nice.
Yeah.
Together they escape Xuthal and head for a nearby oasis. Natalia humorously blames Conan for having aroused Thalos' lustful personality. Conan responds playfully about women's jealousy, and that's how it ends, with some sexism.
So, did you also think it mighty fucked up that, like, Conan chugs that whole thing to make him better, but
none for her?
Yeah, her back's all fucked up and shit.
Well, again, why couldn't they just, take more? He killed most of the people in there.
Yeah.
And he stabbed the fuck out of the monster. Like, he could have... You figure Conan would just ransack the whole place, right? Or just live there. I mean, just kill everybody. They're all mostly drugged up anyway. Yeah. I don't know. That seemed to go against Conan's inner Conan barbarianism. Up next, the Pool of the Black One. This was a unique story. Ooh, wait a minute. They have a picture of his love interest from either the story in the old... This looks like... No, this is from the Weird Tales. They had a comic-looking thing, and the lady looks like an Asian. His love interest.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, that could just be how they drew her. They didn't really mention any Asianness to her, but... let's see. Conan makes himself the captain of a pirate vessel and travels to a remote island with a mysterious pool that has powers of transmutilation. transmutation. There's a lot more to that. He doesn't just become a pirate captain.
Yeah, first of all, he just happens to swim up on this boat that's out in the ocean.
Yeah. Conan climbs aboard the pirate vessel, the Wastrel, awakening a lady, Sancha, who is lounging on the deck. There's a lot of poop deck on this, I think. Yeah, he was escaping an island or a city or something, I forget what it was, and then he was just rowing a shitty leaky boat across the ocean, because that's what you do, and he had to kept, like, bailing himself out because the boat kept sinking, and then he sees a pirate ship and just fuck that boat, jumps off into the ocean, swims to the pirate ship, and just climbs up.
That's filled with sharks.
Yeah, the captain was like, that was shark-filled water. And then Conan is unusually nice for, like, the whole beginning of this. Because, like, the captain automatically just wants to hate him because he's all buff and sexy and stuff, I guess. And Conan is just, like, real nice and smiley and almost, like, cheeky, if you will. Like, he comes across almost, like, there's something there, but the guy can't put his finger on it. It's like, is this guy deceiving me? Like, what's his deal? Why is he so happy? Just had to swim across the ocean, so.
At first, I thought this was going to be the guy from the last pirate story.
Oh, yeah.
Because he knew that guy. Like, you know, whenever he showed up and, like, and they had that argument on the beach before, you know. I thought that was him, but, must not have been.
No. So Conan climbs up on deck. He is confronted by the captain, Zaporavo, and admits to fleeing the outlaw encampment Tordage in the Barachan Islands. One thing I didn't like about this story is that throughout the whole thing, they kept referring to Conan as the Barachan.
Yeah.
Like, they also called him Conan and called him the Cimmerian, but in a lot of, like, the dialogue and stuff, it'd be like, said the Barachan. That was weird.
Yeah, it's like Barbarian and Cimmerian, like, mixed together.
Yeah. But, like, I don't know why they kept calling him the Barachan, because he was not from there. He just that's where he fled from. So I don't know why Howard chose to, like, after Conan tells everybody he's a Cimmerian and stuff, you think, okay, you just go back to being Conan the Cimmerian, not the Barachan. So that was weird. Weird choice. Conan talks his way into a position on the boat and quickly gains the acceptance of the crew after he lays out a sailor who tries to confront him. They tried to give him a little ribbing, a little hazing, and the biggest, burliest dude there was like, oh, I'll break this new guy in, and apparently their hazing is beating you almost to death. Well, Conan just immediately punched this dude in the face so hard he broke his jaw and killed him. And then they just threw him overboard.
Yeah. Like, I was getting the feel of it was almost kind of like a gang. Like, you know, you get jumped in, kind of.
Yeah. Except for Conan just immediately killed the guy with one punch, and then they, everyone else was fine with that afterwards.
Yeah.
They're like, nobody's gonna fight you, buddy. We're just gonna go ahead and you're in.
And then he becomes like a great hope on the ship.
Yeah, he works twice as hard as everybody else and all this stuff, and he's bigger than everybody. Over time, Conan becomes a popular and influential leader of the crew and attracts the attentions of Sancha, who has been growing tired of Zaporavo. He seems to be withdrawn and sends the ship deeper into uncharted territory, looking for an island mentioned in the Book of Skelos, which he doesn't tell anybody about. They don't know where this dude's going. They're just all like, are we going to go die? Like, why is he just sailing off into nothing? Eventually, they do find an island, and while the men gorge themselves on fruit from the island, Zaporavo goes alone into the forest. Conan and through the whole time, you immediately know how this is going to end for the captain
and the crew.
And yeah, but you already know that Conan's going to fucking take shit over, like, from the get-go. Conan secretly follows, and a curious Sancha comes after, because, you know, stupid lady got to just put her, and she was butt-ass naked, by the way. Like, the captain told her to stay on the boat, and she was hot, so she took all her clothes off and swam to the island or whatever she did, and now she's going through a fucking giant forest or a jungle naked. So she's naked through this whole thing, which is ridiculous when you, like, stuff that happens. After a short time, Sancha comes across the body of Zaporavo, a gaping hole in his chest, and screams for Conan in terror. Because who do you think did that?
Yeah. Well, then this is like one of the few times, normally it's like, Conan kind of is like, doesn't let stuff happen to him, but like he deals with it as it comes to him.
Yeah.
This time he like actually was like, I'm gonna take this fucker out.
He planned it.
He's gonna get his boat.
That's what I said from the very beginning of the story. He's planning on taking over the ship.
Conan on a boat.
Boat, bitches. Boats and hoes. Boats and hoes. Or just dirty pirate guys. One hoe. Just one hoe. Conan, and she was also like another slave girl. She was kidnapped by the pirate guy or sold to him. I forget what it was. It was a little weird. I guess he forcefully sexed her up until eventually she started liking it. That was a little icky the way he talked about that. It's like, I guess she, Stockholm Syndrome maybe?
That's
because when she found the guy's body, she didn't feel bad, but a part of her, I forget if she said she felt like she kind of lost, like, not a loved one, but it was like something.
Though I think like that, probably, like, I think that guy, probably treated her better than like some of like the other chicks in past stories have got.
Well, I don't know, because it said he ruthlessly beat her a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, he whipped her and beat her all the time. And that's why when she jumped off the boat all naked and shit to swim to the island, she was like, I don't care if I get a horrible whipping out of this. I'm going to go do it. I'm curious. She said she would take it. Yeah, so he was a bastard too. Conan had seen Zaparovo enter the woods. Conan followed, intending on challenging the captain as leader, something he was unable to do in public because then it'd be a mutiny. After a brief but savage battle, Conan kills Zaparovo, but as he clears his blade, sees an unnaturally tall black from... God damn it. Here we go. That's where it starts. So after a brief and savage battle, Conan cleans his blade and sees an unnaturally tall black form carrying a weight-figured race through the trees. Curious, he follows and finds a green forest. He enters the courtyard and chooses a tower to climb. When he reaches the balcony, which overlooks several separated courtyards, he sees a cluster of the giant black naked figures crouched around a pool in one of the courts. And these are like really, really tall dudes. In the center of the pool, the youngest sailor on the wastrel crouched in terror, having wandered too far and snatched by one of the black men. One of the creatures begins to play a mute sound on a set of pipes, which causes the boy to begin a convoluted twitching dance. See, I didn't get that. I thought that he shot him with a dart or something. I didn't realize he was just playing like an instrument.
Oh, no, yeah, I didn't pick that up either.
Yeah, I thought he shot him with like a dart and he was drugged. So I guess the kid just, the tune, he's too white to know rhythm. You know how that goes. Fucks himself up.
Hate it when it happens.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. And then the boy is thrust entirely into the pool. Which, did it even fucking talk about the pool? There's a giant pool that's super green in the middle of this courtyard. And he threw the kid in. Conan ducks away to avoid being seen, and when he looks back, the creatures are filing out. But the boy is not present. After a few moments, Conan races down to the pool, only stopping to observe shelves with dolls stacked on them. He finds the pool, but can see to the bottom, and the boy is not there. And it's like unfathomably deep. Like, this is the deepest thing ever, but he can see the bottom, and it weirds him out. Realization dawns on Conan when he recalls seeing one of the figures place something on the shelf as they left. I immediately knew what was happening. Once they talked about the dolls, it's like, oh, I bet these guys are turning everybody into these little dolls for no reason. And that's what happened.
Okay, I zoned out for a second. Did he mention about, all the other crewmen sleeping? Just they get, like, eating the fruit and...
Probably going to talk about that in this part, but yeah, all the crewmen, the fruit they ate, it made them just, like, go unconscious. It was like how they said the Black Lotus made you, in the previous story, knocked you out. This did, like, a similar thing.
And obviously Conan had none. He had no fruit.
Because he's smart.
Yeah.
The girl did not either.
Well, she wasn't allowed to. She wasn't on the boat.
Yeah, she was on the boat. Sancha screamed, tears Conan. Oh, yeah, because when she goes there, she's like, why is nobody greeting me or nobody coming up? And she sees all the guys sleeping. Like, why are they so fucking tired? And then they notice they're all holding the fruit, and she didn't put two and two together, and she just goes butt-ass naked in the jungle following Conan or something. Sancha screamed, tears Conan away, and he races up a ledge for a better view. He spies a black creature carrying Sancha to the pool courtyard. And I would like to say that the racism in here does get kind of unracist, because he later describes that these aren't black men. Yeah. They are actually creatures. These are like alien-looking fucking things. Yeah. And if you look on the cover of the Conan collection, that's one of them. Yeah. That's the scene from this story. So they're not actually black men. They're just big black monsters, which is a fucking... Every monster in these stories happens to be big and black, so...
And ape-like.
Ape-like, and they always are taking the ladies. So I don't think Mr. Howard had the best...
Maybe he was just a big fan of King Kong.
I thought King Kong came out in the 30s as well. Maybe.
No, I thought like the old one was like in like the early like the stop motion one.
But I thought King Kong was like a racist thing.
Probably, yeah, probably.
I mean, big giant gorilla thing snatches a woman.
Yeah.
Like I thought that fucking history in this country was fucked up.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, so spies the black creature. So one of the black monsters takes Sancho to the pool and is going to do to her what it did to the kid, who was also butt naked. I guess they always have to be naked. Conan ambushes the creature and kills it, which was like a giant monster thing. You thought it would be like a fight, and he just like stabs it in the thigh or something, and it just died, like in the groin.
Yeah, right in
stabbed
the
in the dick. Yeah,
right in the dick.
Okay, that does make sense. You stab a monster in his big black dingus, and he goes out.
Makes sense.
I would assume they have genitals. I mean, that would suck if you were that big and you'd have no genitals. But Conan barely has time to catch his breath before more creatures approach, each carrying an unconscious crew member. Conan quickly tosses the body into the pool and watches as it shrinks into the size of a doll. He then grabs... What if you just stuck like your hand in it? If you want to punish somebody, you just stick their wiener in it.
Take my strong hand.
Yeah, that would suck. Anyway, he then grabs Sancho and they flee to cover in a balcony alcove. The creatures drop the crewmen outside the courtyard, then all go in to hear one play tunes on his pipes. One of the monsters plays his damn pipe again. Conan and Sancho quietly sneak towards the unconscious crewmen, and they realize the fruit they have been eating had been drugged. I don't think it was drugged fruit. It was just the fruit was a drug. It's not like they went out and drugged all the fruit expecting somebody to come eat it. The fruit was just...
The properties of the fruit.
Yeah. It's dumb phrasing. Conan tells Sancho to wake the crewmen while he distracts the creatures. He sneaks into the courtyard where the creatures sit transfixed, and in a burst of savage energy, clubs three to death before they even know what happened, fleeing through another alcove. And I couldn't really quite picture what this place looked like. I like, the way I thought of it was almost like ruins, like some kind of outdoor ruins, or maybe like a kingdom, but like the outer part, like, you know, the surrounding area, like a court, I guess like a big courtyard, or like maybe like a coliseum kind of style, because it didn't really mention anything about like the inside of anything. Like it didn't talk about like any kind of castle or something. That's it. What the hell? I guess they didn't finish this story. Well, I'll finish it for you, folks. What ends up happening here is, see what happens is, the Conan gets all the monsters to chase him. There's a lot of them, too.
Which I thought was kind of cool. It's like, look, you wake them up, I'm going to have them chase me down.
Yeah. And then when the crewmen come together, send them to help kill these things. Well, they're chasing him, and he's trying to get them just go in circles and shit, and kind of a comical scene. But then Conan goes through one place, and he's like, oh, fuck, I'm trapped. He just goes into like a corner. He's like trapped, and then they kind of surround him, or half surround him. He's like at the wall. And then just this big melee ensues. He starts fucking them up, and they're fucking him up. And then all the crewmen just blast in, and they're all still drugged up. So they don't even know what they're doing. They just know they have swords, so they just start chopping. Yeah. And most of them die horrific deaths.
There's not many left.
Heads crushed, brains coming out, ears ripped off, arms ripped off, guts. What story did Conan get his ear ripped off? Was it this one?
No,
he gets half of his ear ripped off.
Maybe it was in the last one and it got healed with the elixir, maybe?
No. This was like a permanent injury. I thought it was this one. I thought he piled on him and he got his ear torn off. Because at one point, one of the black creatures falls on him and the other ones are just mauling the fuck out of him, but they're killing the creature, not him, because it was on top of him. They go on a big murdering spree, and then eventually everybody, which is not a lot of them, of course the chick lives, so it's him, Sancha, and a couple crewmen, like just hightail it out of there, fucking go to the boat as quick as possible, because the water, it didn't say this in the synopsis here, the tallest, I'm just going to say blackest, because that seems to be the case, of the monsters who had, what the fuck was he wearing? Like a dashiki or in a crown or something? Like some kind of like African style garb, I think. He was the only one remaining. He was like the chief or the king or whatever of these things. And then somehow he gets like the black pool to rise up, and then the water attacks him. Like the green water that turns into a doll is just following them through the jungle and shit, and they're all running like, and it's like this big chase scene, and then it goes into the ocean, and it's following them in the ocean, and like, oh, we gotta get on the boat, and they get on the boat just in time for the water not to get them, and then they fucking haul ass out of there. So that's how that story ended. It was pretty good. Well, you know what? Forgot to do our rating system here.
Oh.
Xuthal the Dusk, I give a... See, that's hard because I liked it, but I would give it a 3.5.
I was thinking 3.5, yeah.
Yeah, I like that story, but the ending was a little stupid. This story I would give a 4.
See, I was
3.5 or a 4.
I was thinking closer to a 3.
I like the chase scene at the end. I thought that was cool because it actually kind of, at least for a moment, made you go, oh shit, how they're gonna... It was one of the few stories that... Conan stories where I was like, oh, maybe they're not going to escape. I mean, Conan does, but the next story, the final story of this week, Rogues in the House. This one you said you listened to. You didn't have time to actually read.
Yeah, I didn't exactly. I made it to the first part, part 1, and then that was last night, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to have time to finish this with being at work and stuff like that. So I was like, I'll just listen to it before.
Well, I'm interested if you cut the same things I did then. We'll see. So, Conan is drawn into a feud between a priest and a nobleman in Corinthia, and ends up trapped in a house and hunted by a beast. This story, I give a 3. It was, I didn't like the whole... I mean, I get it was the thing of civilization again, and Conan's the only trustworthy one because he openly admits he murders and stuff, but it's like the old Greek or Roman betrayals kind of deal. It's a bunch of noblemen and priests and all this shit that are betraying each other. When the red priest Nabonidus, I'm going to say Nabonidus. Sounds better. When the red priest Nabonidus smugly delivers a human ear to the Corinthian aristocrat Prince Murillo, the young man gets the hint and begins to plot how to take out the priest before the priest gets to him. I don't know if I just wasn't interested, but I didn't understand why the dude was holding an ear in a gold box. I completely just fucking phased out of that part of the red priest sending him the ear. Somebody else's random dude's ear. Yeah, I thought it was his ear. I was like, did they cut off his ear and he's holding it as revenge, to keep him angry? But I guess it was somebody else's ear. He visits an imprisoned Conan, who was captured after killing a priest of Anu, who had ordered the hanging of a Gunderman companion of the barbarians. Hey, see, Gunderman was a place. I was right.
Okay, good.
From, I don't know what country it is, Gundermania or something, but Gunderman, you could be a Gunderman. So Murillo, having bribed the guard, offers Conan his freedom if he kills Nabonidus, and the Cimmerian agrees, but asks for a full meal first. What did Conan do to get in that jail? I know he killed some people or something, but I forget what he did.
Did they really get into it?
I thought they mentioned it.
I think he was just there was some a fight, a war kind of thing, and I think he was the prisoner or something. Maybe I forget what it was. It wasn't important to the story. Which seems odd because you prison Conan.
Yeah, it wasn't important to the story, but they did I think mentioned it, but whatever. Yeah, so Conan he agrees to help the guy if he gets a meal. So pretty easy. Yeah. It's I'll do whatever. Give me a meal and let me out of this fucking joint, and we'll see what we can do here. Murillo returns to his house, but is horrified to learn that the bribed guard, Athicus, has been arrested, and Conan remains in his cell. So, his plot's already fucked up. He doesn't have to go kill this priest himself, which he should have did from the beginning. Imagining that his plot has been discovered, he decides to slay Nabonidus himself and scales the wall to the priest's home. Once inside the garden, he finds the remains of the guard dog he is expecting to fight, and when he gets in the house, discovers it has been torn apart and the body of Nabonidus' servant lies dead. The guard was this giant monster dog, and it's fucking fanged to death. Someone chewed it. And then his servant was this real tall, gangly dude, and his neck was broken almost backwards. And he was smiling, though. His corpse was smiling. So that was cool. Creepy. The whole house was creepy. I did like the creepiness of this house. Prince Murillo then finds the priest sitting in his chair, but as he creeps closer, the figure suddenly stands and faces the young aristocrat, who drops the sword and lets out a single cry before silence falls again on the house. I like that scene too, because he's sneaking up on him. He's like, oh, why isn't this guy moving? And he's wearing his clothes, but it's not really him, is it? Or is he a demon? A werewolf? Ooh, who knows? Back in his cell, Conan hungrily devours his platter of food and ale, unaware that Athicus is being arrested for corruption unrelated to his deal with Murillo. When the new jailer makes his rounds, he discovers Conan's cell unlocked, the barbarian himself unchained and working his way through a leg of beef. He's just fucking gnawing on a giant bone. No care in the world. And then the jailer does the stupid... They describe this jailer, too, as makes you feel bad. This guy, uncorruptible, would never take a bribe.
No.
Just is really serious about his job. Just wants to do a good job.
Yeah, good dude.
Takes pride in his work. He just wants to be a good jailer, make sure everything's going good. He's the only one on this night shift. He's working by himself, so he got called in. So he's probably already a little pissed off, you figure, right? Like, oh, I got called in to work. This sucks. It's late at night. But maybe just because it was late, he does the stupidest fucking move any jailer could do. He goes into Conan's cell by himself.
Unchained.
Unchained Conan. When the surprised jailer steps into the room, the Cimmerian brains him with the bone and takes his weapon. He beat him to death with a fucking beef bone. A leg bone of a beef. Of a cow.
Yeah.
He just fucking whack. I think he just whacked him once super hard and brained him, but
Probably.
It's like, imagine how bad that would suck.
He got cleaved with a bone.
Like, what if you got called into work on your day off? You're like, oh, fuck. It's like, okay, or even worse, you already worked that day and they called you in again for a double. So you go in, you're already pissed off, like, oh, damn it. And it's like a night shift, and you go in there, and immediately, like, your area where you're working is all fucked up. Like, what is this? The last guy really must have did a shit job. And then as soon as you go in there, there's just a fucking naked man just clubs you to death real quick. Like, oh, man. So I actually did feel bad for that guy. The only fucking, the way they made it sound, the only non-murdering, non-lying, non-thieving person in any of these stories, and he got murdered real quick.
By a bone.
Conan couldn't just detained him, like tied him, chained him up. Nope, that's not Conan style. After escaping, he decides to fill his part of the bargain with Prince Murillo, but before he goes to kill the priest, he visits the woman who turned him in. This was a weird aspect to Conan I didn't expect, because technically he didn't owe the Murillo guy anything because the plan failed, but his main thing was, well, he did give me food and unchained me. Yeah. So I'll help him. So he does the right thing and goes to help him. But he makes a detour. They really skipped this detour. I don't know why, but it just says after killing his latest... Wait, maybe I did miss something. Oh yeah, so Conan visits the woman who turned him in, and after killing her latest lover, he takes her and drops her into a cesspool, then decides to slay Nabonidus. There's a place in the city called the Maze, which is like Sin City, but worse. It's just fucking gross, because there's just shit and dead bodies in the streets everywhere. And there's these big cesspools of muck, because they don't have a sewage system in this particular part, so everybody just dumps their shit, buckets of poop, out in the street, and it just makes a big cesspool. So he's in the dark, naked almost. I think he's just wearing a loincloth. And he has to navigate through all the poop. And it says apparently it's really difficult, and they call it the maze.
It's probably thick.
Yeah. And he finds this lady's lover, and he just murders him real quick, and everybody hears the screams. But apparently in this area, it's so common for somebody to get murdered. They couldn't pass a dead guy on the way to kill this guy. That he almost tripped over him, I think. But it's so common.
It's like the Compton of...
worse. Like, it's so common to have people murdered that they just, like, after a murder, they wait a while. So when they hear somebody screaming and they're getting killed, they're just like, we'll wait a while and then we'll go investigate. Yeah. So he has plenty of time to grab the lady, goes out the window, throws her into a giant cesspool of shit, has a low rumbling laugh. Not a hearty laugh. He laughs to himself, I think. Haha, she's covered in poop. Doesn't kill her.
I just think of, like, old, like, Arnold just...
Yeah. But yeah, he just threw her in a pit of poop, and she's all mad, and he's laughing. And surprisingly, that's it. He doesn't kill her or anything, and he leaves. And then they go investigate the dead body. And then that's the end of it. I don't even know why they threw that in there. It made no sense to the story why they would throw that in there.
Page count?
That must have been. Because there was just that whole scene it had nothing to do with anything. Nothing. So we go back to the main story. Prince Murillo awakens in a pitch black quarter and feels his way down the stone walls. Soon he senses a figure in front of him. Luckily it turns out to be Conan, because Conan just shows up whenever you need him. Murillo tells Conan of Cimmeria that it was a demonic, hairy monster that he encountered earlier, and he shares his suspicions that Nabonidus is a were-creature, which Conan finds plausible, because apparently, in his stories from his place, that's common.
Oh, I mean, anything we've seen in these stories, I mean, that's not...
Oh, yeah, once you fight like all these monsters, you're like, okay, yeah, definitely a were-person. That's the lower end of unreasonableness. Unfortunately, the sewer grate that Conan used, because he entered through the sewer... Fortunately, the sewer grate that Conan used to enter the abode has collapsed, so the two are forced to search for another exit. Yeah, Conan went through the sewer. It didn't explain where he entered the sewer because the maze didn't have a sewer. So he found a sewer and just magically, like, found that it went to this house. Like, it was kind of stupid, like, that part. But then there was a grate, like a trap that almost killed him with spikes. And then when it fell, he couldn't go back. So he ended up in the dark corridor with the Murillo guy. So they both decided to search for another exit. A bit further along, they come across the stirring body of Nabonidus, who reveals that the creature wearing his gown and sitting in his chair is Thak, an ape-like humanoid from Zamora, who Nabonidus had taken in as a cub, but retained enough intelligence to attack and overthrow his master. This was cool because Thak is like the missing link.
Yeah.
It was like just monkey creatures, and then humans, and he's the transition period. So giant monkey creature that can kind of think like a human. Like almost human, but not. So that was cool.
Yeah, because Conan even mentions towards the end, after he, kills him, that it's, he
was more human.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually had a really cool line. He was like, it was not a beast that I slayed. It was, like a human, and then he's something about he's going to be in hell. Yeah. I guess. I think that's what he said. Like, the creature will be in hell because it was a human, not a beast. Realizing his life is in Prince Murillo and Conan's hands, he agrees to keep the Carithian prince's possibly treacherous dalliances from the king in return for safety. So he says, hey, I know you're going to kill me, but I won't tell nobody about any of this if you help me get out of my situation. So they make the Devil's Pact or something like that. One of those pacts where two enemies decide to help each other. The priest shows the others a system of mirrors through which they observe Thak, who sits blocking the only exit. This I didn't really understand. It was like a bunch of mirrors. Like, Conan thought it was just wizard. He was just like, this is sorcery, and that was enough for him. He didn't need the scientific
I'm out.
Yeah, sorcery, that's just witchcraft. That's it. I don't need it. But it was just a bunch of mirrors that, like, reflected off each other, and then some tubes, and then you could see, like, the room upstairs through it. It was really convoluted, and I don't know why he could have just said there was, like, a one-way mirror window or something.
Word count.
As they observe through the mirrors, they see a group of rebels led by a nationalist named Petrius attempt to sneak up behind Thak, who leads up and pulls on a rope, entrapping the rebels behind a glass barrier and releasing a poison gas that drives the rebels to tear each other apart to Thak's delight. That was a cool scene, because while they're watching, it's literally like what happened to Murillo, like the scene where he's sneaking up on the thing in the chair, is exactly what they're watching as these dudes make the same mistake, and then the beast turns around, but this time he pulls a rope he's holding, which the Red Prince, he kind of alludes to, is like, hey, there's going to be a show here. He's going to do something, because that's why they couldn't go up there, because he's like, as soon as we go up there, we'll die. Yeah. There's a trap, but I'm not going to give away my secrets. So, but what he did is he pulled a rope, and then a thing of, like, unbreakable glass came down around them. They were boxed in, and then poison lotus gas of some sort got pumped through, and then they just go crazy and, like, start eating each other. It wasn't like they just ripped each other apart. They were, like, biting each other, and then they all died. It was a pretty cool scene. Nabonidus is impressed that the creature had the memory and ability to activate the trap, but Murillo and Conan are stunned. Thak begins to reset the trap, and the three men take the opportunity to attempt to flee by him. They are not quick enough, and the beast emerges at the end of a curtained corridor. This whole house was, like, weirdly described. I couldn't picture it. Like, I just had trouble, like, kind of imagining what it looked like. Yeah. Conan hides behind a curtain, and with Prince Murillo as bait, leaps out onto Thak's back. The fight is tremendous, and only goes Conan's way when Murillo hits the beast with the chair, distracting it long enough for Conan to plunge his sword in his heart. More fucking stabbing, but this time, Conan isn't able to stab this thing into submission, so it's fucking him up while he's on his back, because it has big claws and teeth and stuff, and he's just sitting there, fucking die, stabbing in the neck and chest and back, and then eventually, the old fucking, he got a chair, just WWE, just fucking come out of nowhere, just blast the thing in the head with the chair, and then Conan stabs it and kills it. As Murillo and Conan prepare to leave, they realize that Nabonidus has reached the poison gas trap trigger, and was preparing to spring it on the other two. This was another funny scene. So, they're all having wine. Nabonidus is like, good job, gents. Here's some wine. And he made the promise on his god, Mitra, that he wouldn't tell the king about Murillo's transgressions and stuff. But he didn't promise that he wouldn't kill him himself.
I mean, he's a priest.
So he's like sneaking away. He's like, oh, I'm going to go get more wine or something. I forget what he said. And they're just sitting there like, I think this guy's going to try to kill us. Sure enough, he grabs another rope. Ha, ha, ha. It was a trick. And I'm going to describe it to you.
Trap.
Yeah, I'm going to describe everything to you. And
I'm a super villain.
Yeah, so he did. He starts going James Bond villain style, starts telling them about everything. And he's like, if you come 1 inch closer, I'm pulling it and you're all dead, instead of just pulling it and killing them. So Conan swiftly throws a stool at the priest's head and kills him. So unfucking like no climax, no like just like the one story where he just throws the sword at the guy's chest. He just throws a chair and kills him immediately. No rope pull, nothing. As the two men exit the house, Conan decides it's time to leave the city. So it was just like, all right, I had enough of this shit. Kills guy with chair and leaves.
Smash and grab.
No.
He was like, I would like to look through the house and grab some shit.
Yeah,
I'd probably get out of here.
Yeah, he's like, there's a lot of traps. I'm just gonna go. And then no word on the guy with the ear in the golden box. He just doesn't talk about it. I guess they just ended. That was weird. That was a weird story. But you know what? I think this is a takeoff of Edgar Allan Poe's, which I haven't read yet, Murder in the Rogue Morgue, I believe it's called. And it's a mystery. It's like a whodunit or something, like the first mystery story. I don't know if this is how this... I'm pretty sure this is actually how the story ends, but I read The New Murders in the Rogue Morgue by Clive Barker recently, which is a takeoff of the first one. It's like a newer version. And it's apparently... In that story, it's like the protagonist is like... living the actual Edgar Allan Poe story. It's kind of weird. But what it is like a guy he's trying to train like a gorilla to be a human. And then the gorilla who's shaved and dresses like a human is murdering people. Oh. And I'm pretty sure that's how the Edgar Allan Poe story goes. It turns out to be a fucking gorilla or a monkey in human clothes. And it's like really smart, and then it kills some folks. And I think that was actually what this was a takeoff of. Because it's a ape monster. And then it's wearing human clothes, and it's kind of intelligent, but I actually like the way this is better. Like the description, it's not just a monkey that's just smart. Yeah. It's like, it's like the missing link. Yeah. So maybe you can see why it would have some intelligence because it's evolving. So that was kind of cool. Like I said, I like that story. I like the traps and stuff. It was a different Conan type of story. It was definitely a fun read. Again, the ending could have been a little. He likes to end things super like bluntly.
Really abrupt.
Yeah, he just. Oh, chair to the head, sword to the chest, just escape on a boat real quick. Like, there's never any real follow-up, and then we don't know anything about the ladies or none of that stuff. But at least this story wasn't, like, overtly racist and... Yeah. Like every other one, almost. So we only have 2 more left, sir. Yes. You excited?
Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to being done with Conan. Yeah. It is kind of hard reading all these Conan stories back to back to back because you get burnt out. I think that's why I can't read fantasy. I'd get too burnt out on the genre. I did buy The Road, Cormac McCarthy. Oh, yeah? So I think I'm going to make that my next book, to have a steer complete different direction from just adventure stories.
A palate cleanser.
Yeah, because I have that Elric of Manibale series that I wanted to read by Michael Moorcock. I have the first novel and like a short story or something. But after reading all these adventures, I'm like, I think I'm going to need at least a breather between.
Something nice and depressing.
Yeah, I want to get real sad before I go on High Times Adventures again. Anyway, that was this week's Conan adventure. We only have one more next week, and then it's over, folks. It's over. No more Conan BookCast. If you want to talk about Conan, you can hit us up on drunkenpenwriting.com. Spencer really wants to talk to you about Conan.
Yeah, I like to talk about the loincloths.
The loincloths and how they smell and how they're always so sticky. You can follow us on the old Twitter at DrunkenPenWriting, on Instagram at DrunkenPenWriting, or go to Facebook, Drunken Pen Writing, for all your naughty memes. That's about it. I'm kind of tired. I don't feel like editing anymore. So you folks have a wonderful day and evening. Good night. Bye. Goodbye. See you later. Fuck yeah.